If there's one thing I enjoy more than a weird story, it's a story that starts off weird and then just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. I have such a story for you today, my friends. I'm Jeff. Thanks for watching Backroads Tourist, and make sure you stick around till the end because the ending is the weirdest part of the whole story. Spring Ranche, Nebraska is a ghost town. There's only a few decaying buildings left. The most well-preserved one is the old train depot. But back in the 1800s, this was a small but busy town right on the Oregon Trail, the California Trail, and the Pony Express route. There are 3 people involved in this weird story. The first one is Elizabeth Taylor. No, not that one. The second person is Tom Jones. No, not that one. And the third one is James Taylor. No, not that one either. Elizabeth and James Taylor were husband and wife. Notice I said were. James died unexpectedly, and there were rumors going around that Elizabeth had something to do with it, that she had poisoned him so that she could take control of the money. Tom Jones was Elizabeth's brother, so after James was out of the picture, he moved into her house to help her run the ranch. From here, it's hard to separate the facts from the speculation. There are stories of them stealing cattle, murdering seasonal workers, and burning down a neighbor's barn. To put it mildly, the town folk didn't like them too well. In 1885, either Elizabeth, Tom, or Elizabeth's 2 teenage sons shot and killed a man they accused of stealing wood from their property. This was the last straw for the good people of Spring Ranch. On the night of March 15, 1885, a group of 50 men stormed into their house, grabbed Elizabeth and her brother Tom, and dragged them out of the house to administer some frontier justice. They wound up at an old bridge, and that's where Elizabeth admitted that they were responsible for burning down the neighbor's barn. The mob tied halter ropes around their necks and then tied the other ends to the bridge. They put Elizabeth and Tom on horses and then fired their guns. When the horses ran away, Elizabeth and Tom were left hanging from the bridge. Elizabeth holds the distinction of being the only woman ever lynched in the state of Nebraska. In the days to come, 8 men were arrested for the lynching, but the judge ruled that there was insufficient evidence to convict them, and they were all let go. So when I visited Spring Ranch, I had to make a stop at the town cemetery to see if I could find Elizabeth and Tom's grave. And it wasn't too hard to do. They're near one edge of the cemetery, and Elizabeth is resting with Tom on one side of her and her husband James, who she may or may not have poisoned, on the other. Well, they weren't really too hard to find. They're some of the most prominent stones in the cemetery. Here we have Tom Jones, and it looks like up there, if you can see, it's very faded. It's an old headstone. Looks like a Masonic symbol there. Looks like Tom Jones was a Mason. And right next to this, we have Elizabeth Taylor. Died March 15th, 1885. Okay, next to Elizabeth is another headstone, and I couldn't read it at first, but then after I ran my fingers along, it looks like here's a J right here, A-M-E-S. So this is her husband, James, who's right beside her. At the entrance to the cemetery, I noticed something rather odd. On this old fence surrounding this family plot, there was an old tattered necktie. Now, if there's a story behind this, I'm really not sure I want to know what it is. Then, as I was leaving the cemetery, I saw this. Okay, don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a black cat on the road up there just outside of the cemetery, which means I'm going to be going this way. Thank you very much. I love going to offbeat, quirky, and historical places like this. If you want to come with me, then by all means, like this video and subscribe to the Backroads Tourist channel. It's free and easy to do. See that button right down there that says subscribe? Give it a push, and you'll be on your way to riding shotgun with me on my next adventure. The next thing I wanted to do was to visit the bridge where Elizabeth and Tom met their end. This bridge had to be it. It was just out of town and right near the cemetery. It's old, it's spooky, and it looks like the perfect bridge for a lynching. But then I talked to a couple of local historians who told me that although this was a spooky-looking bridge, it wasn't the bridge. The actual bridge is about 4 miles away near where the Taylor Ranch once was. So I took a drive and found the actual bridge. Well, sort of. It's no big surprise that a bridge from 1885 has been torn down and replaced a time or two since then. But this bridge is located where the original bridge was. It doesn't look as spooky as the other bridge does, but I was told that this is the actual site of the lynching. And yes, there is a ghost story that goes along with this bridge. It's said that at night you can sometimes hear the voices of a man and a woman pleading for their lives. So, Elizabeth and Tom may still be here. All right, friends, I promised you a weird ending to this story, so get ready. There has been at least one Spring Ranch festival. Reports are that over 6,000 people showed up for this celebration. Now, some of you are getting ahead of me here, aren't you? There were lots of pioneer-themed activities, as well as plenty of fun and games for the kids. But the highlight of the festival was the reenactment. No, I'm not kidding. Hey kids, let's do something fun this weekend. Let's go to a festival. Thanks for joining me today in Spring Ranch, Nebraska. This is Backroads Tourist. I'm Jeff, and I'll see you on the Backroads.